whole animals like this when we can grow sausages and burgers from their cells? Within a few years, laboratories not far from this farm in the Netherlands could be growing cultured meat for the table. Not only does it mean meat without slaughter, but it also promises to be better for the environment. Welcome to this week's show on alternative ways to eat meat. Coming up, how long before we eat meat grown in a lab? We visit the Netherlands, where scientists are leading efforts to create the world's first test tube burger. Next, eating insects to save the world. We take a look at the six-legged diet of the future. And finally, a hard sell in Argentina. One man pits the soya bean against the country's love for traditional sources of protein. The idea of growing meat in a lab like this certainly keeps animal rights organisations happy. Environmental groups have also welcomed its green credentials. So why are so many people sceptical at the thought of eating cultured meat? An idea that could help to feed the growing population and reduce the negative impact of conventional livestock.
Is it time to meet your new meat? Synthetic muscle laid out on a plate.
What I have here is a plate with 6 pieces of muscle tissue. So these have been grown before.
It's early days, but the recipe has already been developed. Take a tissue sample from any animal, ideally a pig or a cow, extract the stem cells and soak them in a high-protein liquid. Grow them under tension to build up bulk. Finally, mince the new fibres into a steak. Admittedly, the last step is still being fine-tuned. For now, the result looks more like calamari, minus the taste.
I think taste will come when we have myoglobin, hemoglobin, all those things. And those things are still what we need to make.
There's many other factors to consider before this becomes an edible burger. For example, developing the texture of meat. Whether grown in a dish or attached to an animal, muscles need stimulation. Here, an electrical current, the equivalent of exercise in a lab. This setting is far from nature, but it's the environment it could eventually help.
If we go for cultured meat, instead of farming of animals, we can reduce land usage to 1% only what is used now. We can reduce the animal suffering, we can reduce methane gases, so greenhouse gases, CO2 production, all those things.
Isabel doesn't eat meat. She would prefer other people didn't either. Her animal rights organisation is behind synthetic meat. It's even put an offer on the table.
Peter is offering a reward of $1 million to the first scientist and the first company that is able to put in vitro meat on the market. That means it must also be affordable.
The world's first test tube burger could cost more than €200,000, but industrial scale production might see the price plummet to equal or less than that of real meat. Welcome to the Hotel Rhine IJssel, a hospitality school in the Netherlands. I've joined a cooking class. Chef, can you tell me what is on the menu today?
Quiche Lorraine.
It's quiche Lorraine, but it's quiche Lorraine with a difference. The principal ingredient being bacon normally, but instead here we have a rather special edition, the mealworm. The end product, a rather appetising quiche Lorraine with a grasshopper on top. But while eating insects is not new, there's a growing realisation in Europe that our six-legged friends may need to become an alternative to meat.
These are organic grasshoppers, better fed than the garden variety. Ruud Meertens has never counted how many, at least tens of thousands are breeding in this small space.
Too many pigs in a small room, it's not possible. With insects, it's normal, it's natural. And that's the reason they like it all together.
Most of these will be sold as pet food for lizards, iguanas and other animals that like them as a tasty treat. But more recently, there's been a new business: grasshoppers for human consumption.
These ones, they are almost ready for eating. We sell them alive, and then they fry them dry and packing them, and then go to the Sligro.
Sligro is a wholesale supermarket here in the Netherlands.
We sell a different kind of insects or bugs.
Ruud's dried grasshoppers are sold here alongside mealworms in a tub. But sales have so far been slow, and not just because of the price.
Just the idea, I think, of the worms into my food. No, thank you.
But insects do have a long list of selling points. They're high in protein and vitamins, and they're also low in fat.
Oh. Crunchy.
Professor Van House has been promoting insects as a food source for almost 20 years. His team of entomologists claim that by the year 2020 in Europe, there won't be much of a choice.
We are going into a meat crisis very soon, and that's because, let's say, the food prices are becoming so expensive that we need an alternative. It's already estimated that beef, that it will only be for the rich. I think insects are a very good alternative.
Compared to conventional livestock, insects emit far less greenhouse gas. Cows are among the worst, pigs are somewhat better, and grasshoppers are by far the best. But farming insects has its challenges. Huge amounts of energy are required to maintain the necessary temperature and light. Studies are underway to determine whether some of the environmental benefits could end up being lost.
Changing meat-eating habits could be a hard sell in Argentina, one of the most carnivorous places on the planet. But that's what one man is attempting to do, using the country's soybean production as a primary source of protein and introducing it in school canteens across the nation.
The 2001 Argentine crisis changed Miguel Colombo's life. Previously working at a lingerie firm, he is now overseeing his own groundbreaking business, soy-based food. Farmers in the Argentine Pampa have increasingly moved from cattle to soybean production, but this has not yet been followed by a change in people's eating habits. Untreated soybeans are not naturally digestible by humans, so first he had to invent a way to make them edible.
You have to soak them for 10 hours and then cook them for 15 minutes. The cooking temperature has to be around 85 degrees. These are the keys to make the digestion of the soybean easier.
1,000 kilometers away, Andres is following these instructions carefully. 2.5 kilos of beans with 25 liters of water.
We'll get something like 25 liters of soya milk.
In the kitchen, the machine got its own nickname, the mechanical cow. It produces a milk that contains 4% protein, slightly more than from a real cow. But it also produces pulp.
Here we have what's called okara. This is what's left after the pureed soybeans have been filtered. It's like a paste, and you can make all kinds of food with it. Delicacies, mayonnaise, hamburgers.
But they haven't all gone veggie yet.
No, that's pork.
For this agricultural high school, soy-based food is a great nutritious alternative. 100% vegetarian meal full of goodness and with 0 calories. A real change of diet.
We've got 22 sows and 2 hogs here. We still make pork sausages, but when we first introduced the soybeans, it was groundbreaking. Now parents also ask for schnitzels at the school meetings. Soy schnitzels, of course.
It looks like the addition of soy-based food has gone well.
They like both, meat or soya. It's all the same to them.
Everybody is happy with the new menu choices, but as ever, people still have their favorites.
One's better than the other.
But which is better, meat?
Of course.
Cuisine is ever evolving, and it appears that the time of the soy hamburger has come. By purchasing Miguel's $5,000 machine, this self-managed school has been able to halve the number of cows slaughtered per year from 20 to 10. Expanding the menu while tightening the belt, truly a winning recipe.
And finally, if eating lab-grown meat or insects doesn't take your fancy, then there is one other option being developed in Japan. Mitsuyuki Ikeda at Okayama Laboratories is extracting the protein from human excrement, adding food colouring and a little soy to make a burger that apparently tastes like beef. The result is 63% protein and 1/4 carbohydrates. The researcher admits there's a psychological barrier to overcome before people start eating meat made from human faeces. And that's all from us. Thanks for joining us here in the Netherlands, and be sure to stay with us for more environment news next week.